What is up, everybody? Ninjanik back with another round of the Pokemon Trading Card Game World Championships 2024. We have Soichi Saito on the left versus Tord Reklev on the right. Pokemon's poster child right now. People call him, because I think Pokemon loves Tord too much. They put him on stream way too much. I mean, he's a good player, don't get me wrong, but I think they love having just a player to be the face of the game, you know? Especially since he's not from the US. It shows that, like, players are all from around the world, but... So Tord is 5-1, so is Soichi. And these players are looking to get into top cut. If they can maybe win one more round in ID, they might be able to make it in. Either that or they have to win 2 more rounds. I'm not quite sure what the match point cutoff for top cut is, but looks like it's going to be another Lost Box versus Gardevoir match. Who would have thought? 2 of the best decks in the format for sure. And Tord is going first, as you would definitely want to do if you are a Gardevoir deck. It would be really great to see, you know, from what I've played with Gardevoir, it feels a lot better to start Cresselia than it does Mew. Yes, Mew can help you potentially find Battle VIP passes sometimes, but if you can just start Cresselia, put Greninja on your bench, and then fill the rest with Ralts, then when your opponent escape ropes you to try to hit you with the Cram, they can either hit into the Cresselia or the Greninja. And if they play more than one escape rope, you just keep pivoting between those two, and neither of them can get knocked out in one hit. And then on the next turn, you rare candy into Gardevoir EX, and you move some damage counters off of your board, effectively healing some of that damage to try to get around, like, Sableye plays. You can, like, knock out a Comfey or Sableye on the bench. We are going to go for the Artisan here. Looks like that is finding an additional Ralts. That will help your opponent as well. They could use that to find a Comfey. Any basic Pokemon that does not have a rule box is what you could find with that Artisan. So no Pokemon EX, no Pokemon V, no Pokemon GX, no Pokemon EX, capital E, capital X. Tord also, it's important to see that Soichi did shuffle Tord's deck instead of cutting, and Tord did decide to cut his own deck after the shuffle. So that is something that you can do. If your opponent does shuffle your deck, you are allowed one straight cut. If your opponent cuts, you are not allowed to do a straight cut of your own. I would recommend always shuffling your opponent's deck, but to a reasonable extent, because there are a lot of shuffles during a turn potentially. But there's sometimes when I'm playing against, like, a newer player or, like, a little kid, and they just don't really know how to shuffle. They're doing, like, some pretty insufficient shuffles. They're doing, like, the cut thing. I'll just pick their deck up and just start shuffling it. Which honestly probably helps them draw better, because they're probably clumping their deck together unknowingly. And that guy's about to drop his whole deck. Looks like we do have Roxanne in the list, Clara. So this is looking like maybe the standard. I didn't see the V Pokemon if there are any in here. But yeah, the Water Lightning Psychic means that this is most likely the Dragonite Raikou version. The Turbo Lost Box, as some people call it. I just call it Dragonite Lost Box. Oh, it looks like there's Kyogre in here. Yep, so I do see the Dragonite and Kyogre as well, so... Yeah, Kyogre Lost Box, definitely a sight to see here. If we are able to piece together the Kyogre later in the game, it would be really good. But Soichi is taking a very long first deck search. I would think that this is at least a warning for pace of play. He's checking quite literally every single card in his prize cards. And you definitely do not want to be doing that. Just check a few. Just, like, check your Pokemon and energies. Then on your next deck search, you can, like, check individual supporters. Your next deck search, you can check some item cards. You don't need to know each and every individual prize card, especially if you're playing something like Heavy Ball in your decks, which I'm starting to feel like I want to play Heavy Ball in every one of my decks just because I value the information that it gives you. I think it was Robin Schultz who used to always play Town Map in decks, if I'm correct. It might have been somebody else, but would always play town maps in their decks, no matter what, just because they valued the information of the prize cards. And back then, not as many people did, like, prize check as hard as they do now. Because Pokemon, as time goes, is becoming a more and more serious game than it had ever been in the past. Because you can win all sorts of money now. Of course, that money is not quite enough to where it should be for the scale of the game currently, but at least it's a lot better than before. And it looks like we're playing a Pidgeot V in this deck as well, so you can use the Forest Sealstone and then shuffle it back into the deck to not have a V Pokemon in play. And of course, the other commentators are talking about it as well. That's why it is on the screen behind me, if you can even see that. Pidgeot V, not anywhere near as good as Pidgeot EX, though. Get your copies of that now before it goes. Well, I think the Pidgeot Vs will actually go down. At the time of recording, the full art Pidgeot or EXs, the Pidgeot EXs, the full art Pidgeot EXs are $1 cheaper than the half arts for some reason. The half arts are like $9 and the full arts are like $8. Don't ask me why. I pulled one, thankfully, from my Win-A-Box winnings. And I did already order 2 of them at like the $8 price. So I have 3 full arts, which is... I like that they all match. And yeah, here's the Heavy Ball. So he spent all of that time prize checking. And I guess now he can just Lost Zone the Heavy Ball. Oh well. So especially you want to play fast if you're against Tord as well, because Tord is a very, very notoriously slow player. Very methodical. He intends to win an extremely long game 1 and not have time for game 2. That is his game plan going into every game. If he has to go into a game 3, he generally plays game 3 at lightning speed to the same, like just as well as he normally does in games 1 and 2. So... it's not like playing slowly helps him think. He knows how to play fast. He just chooses not to timer stall, basically. Timer stall, a legitimate strategy in VGC, and not a very friendly strategy in TCG. So we do get the Cramorant attack here, leaving the Pidgeot V in play this turn. I think is perfectly fine. Maybe try to find a... Lost Vacuum to get rid of the Forest Sealstone first before you put the Pidgeot V back into the deck. Oh, and it looks like they're like pausing the game just to make sure everything's on camera, because of course they are using the lines that are already on the table to show like for where your deck and discard is supposed to be. But of course the camera at this tournament is way too zoomed in for some reason. So they just turn the lights off on them again. So you can't actually have your deck in the space that's designated for the deck. So I don't know. I don't know what they're doing this tournament. So it looks like Tord is getting a Mew out of his deck to be able to use that Mysterious Tail, retreating into it from that Ralts that was in the active spot, trying to find an item card from here. And is that a fail? No, it's definitely got something in there. He's just trying to choose what he wants. I don't see... no, it looks like it is a fail. So yeah, so why would you look at your hand, look at it intently, then look back at your hand, and then back at the 6 cards from your Mysterious Tail if you just failed it? You should already have access to knowledge from your deck at this point. You've already searched your deck, right? Yeah, you've used Fog Crystal. So just doing that to shave a few more seconds off the clock in notorious Tord Reklev style. And Soichi definitely is playing a lot faster now. You see the way that those cards are flipping around in the hand. Because I think at this point he knows that Tord is... the way to beat Tord is to play fast. We are going to see the Escape Rope. That will force up the Cresselia. Not exactly what you want to see in the active spot. You would prefer to cram into the Mew to take a knockout. Of course, you really want to be knocking out those Ralts, but if you can't do that, then the Mew is the next best thing. The Cresselia does not get knocked out in one hit, and of course that does fuel its ability. Or its attack, rather. The Moonglow Reverse to move 2 damage counters off of each of your Pokemon. Looks like we are going to Lost Zone a Water Energy to grab the Chorus's Experiment. And yeah, I love this pace of play that Soichi has. This is almost as fast as Turbo Tord, which is what they call him when he actually has to play fast in order to win a Game 3. We're going to Lost Zone 2 of those cards. The other 3 are in the hand. Nice big hand here from Soichi. We're going to be able to switch into our Cramorant and just hit for 110. So still not the worst, because even if Tord is able to use a Moonglow Reverse this turn, a lot of that damage is going to stick to the Cresselia. And it looks like they keep pausing the game to make sure that everything is on camera. And of course now the Lost Zone completely off camera. So we're going to attach Return to the active and then Iono. And we're going to hopefully find a Rare Candy Gardevoir EX here. And we also need more energy in the discard pile, so maybe a Kirlia as well, maybe a Radiant Greninja. Oh, or we could just get Ultra Ball with double Psychic Energy. That works just as well. But it looks like we're probably not going to get to a Rare Candy this turn. Oh, there is a Level Ball. So we Level Ball for Kirlia, evolve into that first. Use the Kirlia to discard 1 Psychic Energy, draw 2, and hope that you can find Rare Candy. And also uses the Artisan to get the Manaphy in play. They also have a translator at the table, which is interesting to me because both of these Soichi, it says, is from Australia. It says AU, and Tord is from Norway. And I know for a fact that Tord speaks English very well. So why do they have a translator? Maybe Soichi is originally from Japan and then moved to Australia and speaks like primarily Japanese still? Is entirely possible? I don't know. I'm just theory crafting why there's a translator at the table for 2 people that come from English speaking territories or areas. I guess Norway does speak Norwegian as well, but I mean I know Tord speaks English, so he's bled into plenty of tournaments speaking perfect English, so it looks like the stream is crapping out yet again, and that is not my fault. That is Pokemon's fault yet again. And just goes for a pass. Okay, just went for double Kirlia. Missed a lot of that because of the camera angles, of course, but we are just gonna go for the pass. That leaves Soichi able to... Oh, Soichi did fill his whole... Well, he has the Pidgeot, right? So he can Pidgeot itself back into the deck and then have room for the Sableye if he gets to 10 cards in the Lost Zone. So I think if you're going for that, I think you knock out Cresselia and one of the Kirlias, and then put the remaining damage on the other Kirlia. I would not worry about the Manaphy whatsoever right now. Yeah, I think the best position to put yourself in is to knock out the Kirlia that doesn't have the energy on it. Well, no. I guess you can knock out the one with the energy on it. Tord has plenty of energy already in the discard pile, so it would be better to do that one. If Tord didn't have a lot of energy in the discard pile, I would say knock out the one without energy to lock that into play so that another Cresselia would not be able to, like, do too much. But looks like we are going to Energy Recycler just 3 energy back into the deck, leaving the others in the discard pile. And then we are going to Mirage Gate, get 1 Lightning and 1 Psychic back out here. We will be able to retreat the Cram using that Lightning energy card. And now we will see a Sableye from Soichi. We'll be able to knock out the Cresselia and 1 Kirlia with damage left to spare. So 2 there. Or no, 1 there. And then 8 to that Kirlia that doesn't have the energy on it. Okay, I guess that's fine. And then 3 to the Mew. I think you could have put the rest of that damage to the Manaphy so that you can use another Sableye on the next turn, but I don't know. I feel like the Ralts is the best place to put that damage. I guess now if you do use Psychic Embrace to the Mew, it's left with 10 HP left. So I think maybe that is fine to put that there. Yeah, Tord looks a little stressed right now. Tord is gonna Super Rod a couple of Pokemon back into the deck. Looks like a Ralts and a Kirlia is gonna use the Artisan to find... Oh, and also the Cresselia, of course. And then use the Artisan to immediately find the Cresselia. This is one of the plays I love to go for when I'm playing Gardevoir. Is either I or my opponent has Artisan in play, and then I can continuously Super Rod my Cresselia back into the deck and immediately find it with the Artisan again. I love doing that. It's such a clean play. So we are going to go for the evolution into the Gardevoir EX. And then what? Lost Vacuum, getting rid of the Artisan and one of your own Ralts? Ooh. So this Lost Vacuum is not a card that you normally play in this deck, but Tord does have it in his list. I did know about that ahead of time. But it's very odd that you're Lost Zoning your own Ralts. I guess you still have another Ralts in the discard pile, and you have one more in play, so maybe it is fine. It looks like we are going to use the Forest Seal Stone with the Zacian V. We're going to be able to search the deck for any one card that will be the rare candy as we look to the background instead of the actual game in progress to make sure that we do not know what's going on. And we rare candy into the Shining Arcana and have already used the Shining Arcana ability while we were looking away. And a level ball for a Kirlia, a level ball for another Kirlia, that Mirage Step one, that not a lot of people were playing in their Gardevoir decks, but Tord is repopularizing it. It's something that I've always believed in, but have not really... Like, you have to play Gardevoir a little bit differently at certain times. And I do just love the trade ability, basically, of the Refinement Kirlia. So I've been teetering back and forth, personally, on the Mirage Step, but looks like we do use the Psychic Embrace to put a couple of energies into play here. One onto the Cresselia, one onto the Gardevoir EX, one onto the Gardevoir with Shining Arcana and Brainwave. And then we have 2, 4, 6... 8 damage counters, 9 damage counters in play over the course of all of our Pokemon. So we can fully heal all of them but the 1 damage counter on the Mew. And knock out that Sableye. So now it looks like we are going to use our Colress's Experiment. We refine that Pidgeot that we already shuffled back into the deck. So we are going to be able to Lost Zone that very easily. You definitely do not want that at this point. So yeah, Tord is still in a pretty great spot, even though he is 2 prize cards behind. That was his first prize card of the whole game. We are going to see a Mirage Gate putting some more energy cards into play on his Pokemon. Looks like we are going to go... I thought he was going to both the Comphase, the way he pulled those out, but it looks like he's putting one onto the Greninja, one onto the Cramorant to be able to potentially retreat it, and we are going to use the Sableye to knock out both the Mew and the Manaphy at the same time, because there was 1 damage counter left on that Mew that left it with 50 HP, plus the 70 of the Manaphy. That is a 2 prize knockout, so Soichi goes to 1 prize card remaining. So yeah, I think that shows the skill from Soichi there, being able to put that 3 damage counters onto the Mew earlier in the game, knowing that he could later, even through a Moonglow reverse, knock out both the Mew and Manaphy simultaneously. Yeah, that's a very good play there. Tord is going to go for the Shining Arcana, and is he going to be able to take this game? I don't think that Tord really has much that he can do here. I think even if Tord is able to just take prize card after prize card here, I think that Soichi will at some point just be able to stack enough damage into play to just be able to take a knockout. And even still, even if he just gets another Sableye into play, he could just knock out that Cresselia. Tord just dropping his whole hand in the discard pile like that, trying to find literally anything to try to keep this game alive for him. Retreats the Cresselia and then just hits in with the Gardevoir, and yeah, you're just hoping your opponent is not able to find another Sableye to snipe that off of the bench, but even still, you could just 2-shot this active and it would be fine. If we want to just hit in with a Cramorant, that doesn't put us in too bad of a spot. We're gonna just continuously chain our Sableyes together, or sorry, our Flower Selectings with our Comphase together. Thin that deck even more of somewhat useless cards. Switching yet again into another Flower Selecting. Going to use that. Use the Clara. Get back. Sableye, Psychic Energy, and play the Escape Rope. And we will be able to take the knockout on the Cresselia. Going to a game 2. Soichi going 1 game ahead of Tord here. Yeah, very expertly played by Soichi. I did not think that the Mew damage was correct, but... in hindsight, it definitely was, because he was able to take a 2 prize turn with another Sableye after that, even through the Moonglow reverse. So props to Soichi for being able to see that play. I guess sometimes it's not the correct play to put the damage on Gardevoirs and Ralts and all of that. So let's see if we can skip ahead maybe just a little bit into the next game, because of course we see Soichi is pile shuffling. We all know that pile shuffling is... Oh, this is the replay. We all know that pile shuffling is just a waste of time. It does not actually randomize your deck, because you are putting your deck in a predetermined order. Whether you know what that order is or not is irrelevant to the fact that you just went, okay, I'm going to put card number 1 in pile number 1. I'm going to put card number 2 in pile number 2. I'm going to put card number 3 in pile number 3. Like, no matter what each card's identity is, you still know that you put the first card in the first pile, the second card in the second pile, the third card in the third pile. So if you knew what your deck was, you know exactly where each card is. So it's not sorted. You're sorting it, basically, is what a pile shuffle does. So you still have to sufficiently randomize your deck by mashing it afterwards. And it does not always happen. But yeah, I mean, since you still have to mash the same average of 7 times afterwards, kind of makes the whole piling part irrelevant. If you want to make sure you still have the correct amount of cards in your deck, just do 1 pile, or just count, you know? Just finger through it. So we're going to go for a Battle VIP Pass. We're going to get a Ralts and a Radiant Greninja. Really great to see that here from Tord. The Radiant Greninja will probably be able to discard a energy to draw 2 cards. Who would have thought? And there it is, coming out immediately. We're going to find a Kirlia for next turn, but it is the Refinement Kirlia, I believe. So you would rather draw into the Mirage step one so that you could use the Mirage Step on the next turn. But looks like Tord is going to go for the attach on the Zamazenta, or sorry, the Zacian, and then use Roar of the Sword to attach a second energy. So this is one play that I said in an earlier match of Gardevoir versus Lost Boxes, that if you can get the Zacian on your bench and just hard attach to it and then Roar of the Sword, on your next turn you can hard attach to it and just start swinging into like Cramorant without much issue here. So Ichi does have the Kyogre in hand, and at the angle he was holding his hand, that probably shows Tord that he does have the play the Kyogre. It was at quite an angle. Looks like we are going to attach an energy to the Pidgeot. You cannot use its ability when it's in the active spot, only when it's on the bench. So Pidgeot V being actually the worst starter in Soichi's deck, and this might actually give Tord the what he needs in order to be able to take this game fairly cleanly. So we are going to see the patented Tord Reklev Gardevoir deck Luminion V to be able to search for the Professor's Research. We are also going to Ultra Ball, probably finding maybe a Kirlia for our active spot? Or maybe just a benched Manaphy wouldn't be too bad either. Yeah, I think benching the Manaphy would be right here. Or we could just go for another Ralts and just hope that our opponent doesn't go for the Greninja turn 2. I mean, it is asking for quite a lot. There is only 2 cards in the Lost Zone, and has not used a single flower selecting quite yet. That Pidgeot is locked in the active spot, so I think that the risk is very much worth the reward here. We are going to research away just a Pal Pad to draw 7 cards from our deck after evolving our benched Ralts into a Kirlia. We are going to get rid of the Battle VIP Pass, which makes a ton of sense here. You do not want that in your hand. Going to use our Greninja to discard and draw 2, getting rid of that Psychic Energy. And we can also Ultra Ball here. Do we have a rare candy yet? No, it does not look like we do. So we can just evolve into the Kirlia on the active. But there's not going to be a good way to remove this Pokemon this turn. So maybe if you are to have another energy, you could retreat it into the Greninja and then use Refinement. But it looks like we are just going to let our active be our active. And just hope that our opponent is not going to take an easy knockout on this next turn. It looks like we are going to go for Roar of the Sword yet again. We're going to attach to the active this time. I do like seeing that energy there because you are 1 energy attachment away from being able to retreat. And if this Kirlia doesn't go down, it could become a Gardevoir. So Soichi is definitely going to be looking for another Colress's Experiment this turn. To be able to get 4 cards in the Lost Zone and knock out that active Kirlia would be really great. Or if we can bum rush the Lost Zone count, we could potentially just go greed and knock out both Kirlia at the same time, punishing Tord not getting the Manaphy. So here's an escape rope, and that's going to allow Tord to switch his Pokemon, and for some reason puts up the Zacian instead of the Radiant Greninja, and I'm not sure why exactly we're doing that. I mean, maybe he's thinking that he can just heal a bunch of damage off the Zacian multiple turns in a row, and now that's something that he can retreat. And pass his turn? He doesn't have the cards in the Lost Zone. Tord is going to go off to the races now. We've seen Turbo Tord activate. We are going to use Shining Arcana to find some level balls. We're going to play some level balls here to grab some Pokemon just to thin the deck of the maximum amount of cards as possible. Oh, man. Yeah. 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 Turbo Tord fully activated. Drawing so many cards, finding so many rare candies that are now useless. We can now evolve into the Gardevoir EX, and we can start loading up this Zacian just to be able to start taking some KOs. We have not played a supporter card yet either, so we could always just Oh, we're going to use our V-Star power to find the boss's orders to knock out the Pidgeot and go on a 2-prize lead. And the best thing that Soichi can do in response is to just hit with the Cramorant or use the Radiant Greninja to knock out the benched Kirlia, as well as maybe damage up the Zacian in the active. But we also see the evolution into the another Gardevoir using another Shining Arcana. And oh man. Oh man. And yep, we're going to do a whole bunch of damage to ourselves here, 60 damage to ourselves, and we are going to be able to take the knockout on the Pidgeot V. And yeah, I think Tord put the Zacian up, risking to see if Soichi had the Colress's Experiment. And since he didn't, that was able to basically just win Tord the game. I mean, had Tord's put up the Greninja instead, I still think it would have been fine, because you just attach for turn, then retreat, and you just have 20 more damage on your Zacian instead of... So you'd have 80 damage on it instead of the 60, and that's still not within Sableye range or Greninja range or Cramorant range either, so... So we are going to have to go into a game 3 here. We'll see if Tord turbos just as much as he did in the last game. It's almost like he's playing Lost Box. So prizes his Greninja, and Soichi prizes double Comfey, as well as 3 energy cards. And starts the Dragonite. This is a really bad, this is really bad for Soichi. Tord starts the Zacian, which is not the ideal starter, but you could at worst attach return and roar the sword to it, and then attach return on the next turn to be able to just hit for 150 on something like a Cramorant. So you'd rather have it on the bench so that it becomes, that it's undamaged when you start swinging with it, if you're going to be attacking into those 1-prizers. But that Dragonite there, looking pretty tasty for Tord. Also, Dragonite, another Pokemon that I really like, and another Pokemon that has a bit of a pot belly. As I was saying earlier in the match with the Baridon deck, I do love my tubby Pokemon. Also, why does Pokemon always put the alt art on stream for Dragonite V specifically? Like, there's a full art in the set and the alt art in the set, and then there's the regular art is a promo, and everybody plays just the regular art for the most part. So why not just put the promo one up? Like, I know they usually use the ones from the set, but like, if you're always, you use the lowest rarity for everything else, so why not use the lowest rarity from the set, which is the full art, or just use the lowest rarity art altogether, which is the promo? I don't know. First world problems. So we are going to use our Greninja to draw 2 cards, and one of them is the Battle VIP Pass, so Soichi will be able to find a couple of Comfeys, the 2 Comfeys that are even in his deck. Tord wearing one of those nice Pokemon Center watches, actually. Those are pretty expensive, if I remember correctly. Tord, of course, always being hyper aware of time. So do we have a switch cart or an escape rope here? We're going to attach a water energy to the Comfey. We have the Forest Seal Stone. We can move the Dragonite if we want to here. I think you do. I think you use the Forest Seal Stone now to move the Comfey into the active spot. Yeah, that doesn't feel like a good use of the Forest Seal Stone, but I think you need to start getting cards in the Lost Zone as early as possible, and Soichi is choosing not to do that. That's absolutely crazy to me, because you could have gotten 2 cards in the Lost Zone at minimum. Since you attached for a turn to the Comfey, you could have used the Forest Seal Stone to find a switch cart or an escape rope. Then switched into the Comfey with the energy, use Flower Selecting, retreat into the other Comfey, use Flower Selecting, and maybe find yourself a Colress's Experiment for next turn. While also building up the Lost Zone. And now, since you haven't done that, You're going to start your second turn with 0 cards in the Lost Zone. Are you going to be even able to attack with a Sableye on turn 2? You always want to be attacking with Sableye on turn 2. Or at least be able to access Mirage Gate so that you can use your Dragonite to knock out this Zacian that's in the active. Yeah, because if you did 2, and then you use both Comfeys again on the next turn and a Colress's Experiment, that puts you at 7. Then you Mirage Gate to your Dragonite and knock out the active Zacian V, and you take that prize lead. So yeah, I think that that was a huge misplay from Soichi. It is a little bit of an aggressive play. It is a bit of a risky play, but I think just advancing the amount of cards in your Lost Zone is always exactly what you want to do. At least until you get to the 10 number. We are going to Colress's Experiment, putting the first 2 cards in the Lost Zone now. And is there a way that we can get to 7 cards in the Lost Zone this turn to be able to utilize this Dragonite that we were forced to start with? And I don't think that's possible, especially with 2 Comfeys in the prize cards. Oh, man. And of course, Tord could have Iono'd you as well, so you could have just used the Comfeys and then gotten Iono'd into a Colress. So I really don't feel like that was the best use of Forest Seal Stone. Grabs a Cramorant out of the deck. Will we even be able to get to 4 cards in the Lost Zone this turn to use it? We are going to Escape Rope. That will force up one of the Ralts that you can knock out with the Cramorant. So maybe not getting fully punished as Soichi should have, in my opinion. Yes, we are still watching the music videos. Yes, thank you. Gonna retreat into the Cramorant. We're at 3 cards in the Lost Zone. Do we have a Lost Vacuum to be able to get rid of our own Artisan? Or our own Forest Seal Stone? I definitely think you want to get rid of the Artisan, and yes, we do. And it looks like we are able to take the knockout with the Cramorant, so still not that bad of a start for Soichi. Guess he did end up doing pretty well with the Forest Seal for the Colress's Experiment. And now he will be able to get to 7 and potentially 10 cards in the Lost Zone on the next turn. He would need another Lost Vacuum to get to 10, though. Because, again, he does not have access to 3 Comfeys. He can Colress and then use 1 Comfey. That'll be 8, and then use another Lost Vacuum to get rid of his own Forest Seal Stone. A really funny play from Tord would actually be if he finds his own Lost Vacuum. If he Lost Vacuums the Forest Seal Stone off of Soichi's Pokemon for him, that will advance the Lost Zone 1, but then Soichi cannot use his own Lost Vacuum, so he can't Lost Zone the card from hand. And it looks like Tord actually evolves into the Mirage Step Curly, and we might see a Mirage Step this turn. Evolves the other Ralts into another Curlia. We're going to use our Luminion here to find a supporter card, which is the Iono. Do we have another Curlia in hand that we're trying to put to the bottom of the deck with the Iono? That would make the most sense. And yes, that is the case. There is a Curlia in hand, so we are going to put that back on the bottom of the deck for Tord, and hopefully not draw into another Curlia off of this draw of 6. And it looks like we did not draw into a Curlia, so we will be able to Mirage Step for 2 Curlia now. But Tord will be in a 2 prize deficit because of this play. And yep, we do see the Mirage Step here. We're going to be able to find double Curlia. No, for a second I thought it was just 1 Curlia. That would have been crazy. Tord would have definitely checked his prizes for that, though. So we are going to go for another Colress's Experiment we have now off of this Iono. We're going to be able to Lost Zone 2 cards here. Which are we choosing? too fast to tell. Man, those are fast fingers. And that's why the ladies love TCG players. Alright, so here is the Mirage Gate now that we are at 7 cards in the Lost Zone. Not that the Pokemon... Not that the guy on the OBS is updating it fast enough. Mirage Gating, and now he's holding his head here. He must not have the energy in his deck to be able to Mirage Gate out like he wants to. And he's really upset here. Yeah, it looks like he doesn't have any water energy in deck. None at all. He did have one earlier that he attached to his Comfey to retreat, so it is in the discard pile at the very least. But yeah, it looks like a huge misplay from Soichi, playing a little bit too fast to be able to get any good use out of it here. I think you definitely put that lightning energy to the Dragonite, because then on the next turn you could Barrage Gate a water and attach Fraternal Water. Yeah, he has a water in hand. Yeah, he does not have access to any water energy. He's finally realized how many water energies are in his prize cards. I know there's at least 2 in there. I don't think he's Lost Zoned one yet. Gonna get rid of an energy recycler. That's pretty ballsy after that turn you just had. Can get rid of the Roxanne as well. That puts us at, what, 9 cards in the Lost Zone? We're still off from Sableye. And yeah, we're just gonna have to attack with Cram yet again. Yeah, has 2 water energies and a lightning energy in the discard pile right now. So if he were to keep that energy recycler, he could play that on the next turn, then Mirage Gate onto his Dragonite and attach one of those water energies that he recycled for turn if he could draw into one. And it looks like we're just not doing anything right now. Is there like a judge call or something? But no, he's just really thinking, I guess. And still has not taken a water energy off his prize cards. Or maybe he is right now. Has he taken 2 prize cards yet? Don't tell me there's a judge ruling. Again? I swear to God, there's more during this match than any other. I'm going to pause for a second. So I don't know. It seems like maybe it's nothing because Tord just drew his card for turn. It was only like maybe 30 seconds of dead air there. And Tord is playing at lightning fast speed. He is turbo Tording. He knows there's only 5 minutes left. He wants to make sure he is able to take all 6 prize cards before the timer runs out so that he does not end up with a tie. And the best course of action to be able to race to that will be to knock out that Dragonite either this turn or the next turn. Tord's like, give me my deck, give me. And we are going to attach... Oh! Hang on, hang on. So they gave Soichi a slow play warning. An escalation of a slow play warning. So I don't know where during that turn Soichi slow played. At all. Like, the only time I saw Soichi slow play was his deck search on game 1. His, like, first deck search on game 1. And that was it. That was his only time slow playing. So, I mean, maybe he got a slow play warning for that, but then why does he not get a slow play? Like, how does he get a slow play warning here? Like, it took him, like, maybe 10 seconds to decide whether or not it wanted to attack with the Cramorant or not, but, like, that's not slow play. And that has to be and it has to be, like, a second issuing of a slow play warning, which would award toward the 2 prize card penalty off of Soichi. But yeah, I mean, the way Tord plays in all of his matches, how does he not get slow play penalties, but Soichi does? That's absolutely asinine, honestly. Like, especially with what Tord did in game 1, where he used Mysterious Tail, saw that there were no items put the hand down, look back at his hand, goes, and then puts his hand back down and looks at the Mirage Tail again and goes, and then says, oh, fail. And there was no item cards in there whatsoever. That should have been a slow play warning for Tord. And it looks like, oh my god, is there another warning or penalty going on? What is going on with this match here? I don't know. I don't see anything going on right now. They just resumed play. I think it's because Soichi is playing so fast, maybe they stopped him from using the concealed cards and then being like, why are you drawing cards? Which the judges should be able to pick up on pace of play like that, but you're forcing your opponent, you're forcing Soichi to play at lightning fast pace because he wasn't slow playing earlier, so now he doesn't like have a full understanding of what exactly slow play is. So now he's being forced to play too fast, and now you're like trying to give him warnings about playing too fast. Like I don't understand. I don't understand Pokemon sometimes. These judges are crazy. One time Will Post gave me a slow play warning because I scooped my cards to save time and went into the next game. And my opponent tried to decline it. And Will Post said, nah. And then in the next round gave my friend a slow play warning in his match. And then he reported him to the head judge. And then Will Post got put on side events for the rest of that tournament and has been head judge for juniors ever since until NAIC. Or at least every time I've noticed Will Post. He's been like working on like juniors. Hate that guy too. So we're seeing escape rope here now. So we are at over 10 cards in the lost zone, so we will be able to see an attack with Sableye here. And yeah, I think that Soichi was still favored to win this game, but with that 2 prize card penalty, that's going to give Tord the ability to win this game when I don't think he could have, because there's only 4 minutes left on the clock. And I don't know if both players are playing at their same pace of play that they have been. I don't even know if Tord is able to just take those 5 prize cards without this 2 prize penalty. And honestly, this conspiracy theorist in me is saying that they gave Soichi the 2 prize penalty to ensure that Tord makes top cut. Because Pokemon just really loves Tord for some reason. God, I'm getting tired from doing so much here. So 8 damage counters to the one Kirlia. And then how many to the other? Come on. Gotta make a decision. They already called you for slow play. When you weren't slow playing, you gotta play at the speed of light now. Look, his hand is shaking so much too. If he puts 4 to the Luminion, that leaves it at 130. That's not quite enough to knock it out with a Sableye. And Turbo Tord coming in now. See, you could see Tord knows how to play fast, so when he isn't playing fast, like, you should be able to, like, call him out on that. But yeah, Pokemon definitely the conspiracy theorist in me is telling me that Tord needs to be put in top cut so that Pokemon can, you know, feature him even more because they love the man. So we're going to retreat with the Psychic Embrace. We're going to have double reversal energy on this Gardevoir and be able to boss up the Dragonite and take the knockout, going down to effectively 1 prize remaining. Even using the Psychic Embrace to allow Gardevoir EX to have free retreat here. And playing the Collapse Stadium to discard his own Luminion. Yeah, Soichi is kind of boned right now. And again, it's entirely off of this prize card penalty because Soichi could still take 3 prizes to win the game. You could see him recycle the Dragonite and boss knock out the Zacian. And then just knock out the Manaphy with a Sableye to win the game. Or you could say knock out the Manaphy with a Sableye, put all of the rest of the damage on the Zacian. And then on the next turn, maybe you would have enough. Let's see. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So you had 5. So he'd be at 9 if he heals with the Cresselia. 9. That's 70 on him. 7 will put him at 150 HP. So no, you wouldn't be able to knock him out with a Sableye, whether Tord is able to use Cresselia or not. So definitely important that Tord did knock that Luminion out of play. And of course the Battle VIP Pass is the draw for turn. And they have 40 seconds left for this match. Tord was able to tie up the prize cards. But I still think Soichi would have been favored if Tord didn't need only one more prize card to win. So I think the two key mistakes from Soichi is that one turn with the Mirage Gate where he didn't have the energies to attack with the Dragonite. I think he would be in a position to win the game now if he was able to do that. And then, of course, slow playing, as the Pokemon judges are putting it. I mean, this is the World Championships, too, so the timer really should be more than 50 minutes, in my opinion. Should be at least 60 for the regular Swiss rounds, and then, like, 75 for Top Cut is still fine. You could do 90 if you really wanted to. See, we're going to see the Pidgeot get benched. I guess it doesn't matter if Tord is able to boss his orders or not. And they are in turn, so Soichi is turn 0. And now if Tord is able to take one more prize card, he will just win the game. So, yeah, definitely engineered by TPCI. Area 51 has aliens. Trump did 9/11. You know, all of that type of stuff. Except the Tord thing might actually be true. Yeah, I don't know what you do in this position as Soichi at all. I mean, I would think that I would just Sableye, knock out the Manaphy, put the rest of the damage counters on Zacian or Gardevoir EX. And then on the next turn, try to... Oh, he lost on the Kyogre this game too. I think he's actually in a position to win the game off of Kyogre here, had the Manaphy not been in play. And Tord's trying to read the Pidgeot here. 80 plus 80 if there's a Stadium card in play. He could actually take the knockout on the active with the Pidgeot, funnily enough. So there's only one energy card in the discard pile for Tord. So, and we're going to see the Roxanne here will put Tord at a remaining 2-card hand, plus his draw for turn. Yeah, this is a really great play from Soichi, actually. Being able to attack with this Pidgeot. That's a card that you never attack with in this deck, but he's utilizing it to its full effectiveness right now. And we could even see the Pidgeot take a knockout on the Zacian on the next turn if Tord is not able to knock it out. Of course, we will see the retreat of the Gardevoir EX. We'll put 2 energy into the discard pile. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18. So he would be hitting 180 with the Zacian if he does not get an attach for turn. So yeah, Tord only needs 1 energy to attach. Oh, and Soichi is reading his Pidgeot. It says if you have a Stadium card in play, you do an extra 80 damage, but he doesn't. Tord has the Stadium in play. But honestly, that is the only play that was available to Soichi in this position. And I don't know what else you do, because Tord is just able to take the last prize card however he wants. And yeah, Soichi is very disappointed, visibly so, and I definitely do not think that Soichi should have lost that game. I definitely think that there was not a slow play from him at that point, at least. That definitely turn 1 for sure. Turn 1, game 1 for sure, but Tord is, he's shaking Tord's hand, and Yeah. Tord's even looking a little bummed about it as well, but... Because I'm sure that's not how you want to win a game, but you'd rather that than losing the game. And yeah. Yeah, Soichi just got screwed out of it because of a bad judge call. And that happens far too often in Pokemon. So, as always, guys, do not forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And we'll see you guys next time for hopefully an actual game that's decided by actually playing the game.